Greetings, I'm Jenny, 27 years old. 3 years ago, I married Hugo, the most incredible man I've ever known. He's a lovable goofball, brimming with kindness and compassion, making even the most ordinary days feel special. Unfortunately, the same can't be said about his mother, Maria, my mother-in-law. From the very beginning, she's harbored an unspoken hostility toward me. I get it, Hugo is her pride and joy, and she wants to protect him, but sometimes, she takes things too far. Maria has a knack for subtle jabs, the kind that seem innocent on the surface but are designed to get under your skin, leaving you looking like the unreasonable one. We've all met someone like her. Unfortunately for me, she's family. I was raised differently. I don't let things slide. I speak my mind, which is probably what attracted Hugo to me in the first place. Our personalities balance each other, and with my background in psychology, I can see right through Maria's manipulations. Our dominant natures clash, which might explain her first words to me. Jenny, don't you think it's time to stop eating so much? The room went silent. I felt my face drain of color as Hugo, his father Kyle, and his brother all reacted in shock. Hugo, clearly embarrassed, immediately called her out. Mom, that's a terrible thing to say. Jenny can eat whatever she wants. Maria backpedaled, feigning concern for my health, even referencing old photos where she claimed I looked better. I was mortified, then irritated, but I bit my tongue. It was our first meeting, and I didn't want to cause a scene, so I let it go. But that was just the beginning. Over time, the jabs became more frequent, more cutting. While I bonded with nearly everyone in Hugo's life, Maria remained the lone dissenter. Even Hugo's childhood best friend, knack, welcomed me with open arms. Yet, Maria remained steadfast in her quiet disdain. Even on my wedding day, she tried to overshadow me. No, her hair should be in an updo, like mine was. But you look so ugly. The bridal party gasped. I wasn't even surprised at that point. I had grown used to it. Maria quickly tried to cover her tracks. Oh no, darling, that's not what I meant. I just think you have the potential to look so much better. You remind me of myself at your age, though. Of course, I looked better, but you're beautiful in your own way. Kyle managed to rein her in that day, but the damage was done. The pain lingered, her words slicing deeper than I liked to admit. It wasn't in my nature to sit back and endure, but for the sake of Hugo and my own peace, I held back. Until now. 3 years later, it was a typical Sunday dinner at Hugo's childhood home. The usual gathering of family and close friends. Maria had invited us all, including Jack, which hinted at something significant. I had my suspicions, and soon enough, they were confirmed. Maria stood, clearing her throat to command attention. Holding up a piece of paper, she announced, "Since my birthday is coming up, I have some exciting news. We're going to Hawaii." The table erupted in excitement. That sounds amazing, Jenny. We've always wanted to go to Hawaii. This is perfect. Wow, Mom, thank you so much. Then, Maria turned to me, her voice sickly sweet. Actually, you're not coming, honey. A pause, then, confusion. What do you mean? I made some last-minute changes and canceled your ticket before it cost extra. My ticket was already booked. She had gone out of her way to revoke it. Hugo's face darkened. Mom, what are you talking about? Tension filled the air. Jack and I stayed silent as heated words flew across the table. Finally, Maria sighed, as if we were forcing her hand. Fine, you want to know the truth? As I get older, I want to spend my remaining years with those who truly matter to me. And unfortunately, Jenny doesn't make the cut. Gasps. Hugo was livid. Mom, are you serious? What is wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with me. I'm just saying, Jenny isn't blood. She's not really family. Kyle scoffed. By that logic, Jack shouldn't go either. But he's family, isn't he? And so is Jenny. She's Hugo's wife. Jack is different. He's always been part of our lives. But Jenny? I just don't feel comfortable with her there. And it's my birthday. I get to decide. Silence. Then, Hugo stood, ready to leave. Come on, Jenny. We're out of here. But I didn't move. Instead, I looked Maria dead in the eye and spoke. No. The room fell still. Maria's smug smile faltered. Maria, we both know you've never liked me. And for 3 years, I've tolerated your behavior. But do you really think we don't see what you're doing? That we don't notice your constant need to manipulate and control? Watch your tone. Young lady, you're in my house. And soon. I won't be. But before I go, there's something I need to say. I turned to Hugo, whose eyes burned with fury at his mother's cruelty. Darling, I love you with all my heart. And for years, I've tried to endure this, to win her over. But it's clear now that she will never accept me. No matter what I do, no matter how kind, patient, or forgiving I am, she will always find a reason to push me away. You should go on this trip. She's your mother, and despite everything, you love her, and she loves you, in her own way. So go. Don't worry about me, I'll be just fine. Then, I turned back to Maria, whose face had gone pale. And as for you, I have bad news. You don't get to decide who stays in this family, because whether you like it or not, I love your son, and I'm not going anywhere. But I'm here to stay. I could feel the weight of my words settle in the room. Maria's eyes narrowed, her lips curling in disbelief. Even in Hawaii, you'll be thinking of me. Let's be real, you're obsessed with me. Her face flushed, and her hands balled into fists. How dare you? I should slap you right now. I shook my head, my patience finally worn thin. I'm done, Maria. You're fixated on me, obsessed with tearing me down, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. All I've ever done is be patient and kind, even when you didn't deserve it. But enough is enough. If you don't want me in Hawaii or to consider me part of the family, fine, but I will always be here. As long as I breathe, I'll be here, for Hugo, Kyle, and even Jack, but never for you. The silence that followed was thick. Maria stood there, speechless, her mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. She couldn't find the words to retort. I turned to the rest of the family, offering a small, bittersweet smile. I kissed Hugo on the cheek before walking toward the door. Let me at least drive you home. I can't let you take a cab. I turned to him, my heart heavy. Don't worry about me, babe. I love you. Thank you for loving me. I'll be fine. You've got a trip to talk about. Okay, if you say so. Oh, don't forget your purse. I walked back to the kitchen to grab it, where I found Maria. She was pacing, her body stiff with rage, presumably still simmering from our confrontation. What do you want? I kept my tone light. Don't worry about me, sweetheart. I'm just here to collect my things. She didn't even spare me a glance. Well, make it quick. I want you out of my house. I can't believe you said those things to me. I couldn't help but scoff at her absurdity. Grabbing my purse, I noticed a piece of paper lying next to it. Curiosity piqued. I picked it up, assuming it was the itinerary for the Hawaii trip. As I unfolded it, though, I realized it was a letter. Dearest Jack, you've always been like a son to me, and I love you dearly. Oh, it was a letter to Jack. A bit odd, but I thought it might be a motherly gesture. Yet something tugged at me to keep reading. The love and care you've shown me throughout the years will never be forgotten. Regrettably, even with my son Hugo, I feel the love we once shared is no longer there. Wait, did she just say she loved Jack more than Hugo? I blinked, the words feeling off. I read on, each line more shocking than the last. Maria's true feelings were spilling out, and I felt guilty for intruding, yet strangely thankful for the discovery. The letter ended with an explosive confession. I hate to admit it, but I think the reason Hugo and I are so distant is because of Jenny. Ever since he married her, he's changed. He doesn't love me anymore. I think I'm starting to not love him either. You are my son, Jack, and I want you to know that I'm changing my will. Everything will go to you, the house, the money, the businesses, not Hugo. He doesn't deserve it. I couldn't believe what I was reading. Maria was going to leave Hugo nothing over me? The letter went on to reveal more of her distorted feelings. The venom, the jealousy, it was all laid bare in her words. I closed the letter, my pulse racing. This wasn't just family drama anymore. This was something darker, something dangerous. I had to share this. I walked back into the dining room where Hugo, Kyle, and Jack were waiting. They all turned to me as I entered, eyes wide, a mix of concern and curiosity on their faces. Kyle spoke first, his voice filled with regret. Jenny, I am so sorry for what my wife has put you through. Please, don't worry about anything. You're coming to Hawaii with us. Maria's just going through a rough patch. I'll talk to her, and I'll make sure she sees reason. I don't know what's gotten into her, but I promise, I'll fix this. I gave him a soft smile, though it didn't quite reach my eyes. Kyle, don't worry about me. I'm fine. Actually, I've stumbled upon something I need to share with everyone, especially Hugo. Hugo's face paled, his concern growing. He knew me well enough to see when something was off. Where's Maria? She should hear this too, I asked, my gaze scanning the room. Kyle shifted uncomfortably. She's not feeling well. After your conversation, she mentioned a headache and decided to rest upstairs. She'll be down later, but you know how she is about her beauty sleep. I sighed, my patience thinning. This is important. She needs to hear this. Hugo's eyes flickered with anxiety. Maybe you should go ahead and tell us. You know how she is. Let's just hear it, and when she wakes up, we'll deal with it. I could see Hugo's nerves starting to unravel. Anxiety wasn't a stranger to him, and I wasn't about to let him suffer through this. All right, I'll share it with you all. I took a deep breath, gathering my thoughts, before I began reading the letter aloud. It reads, Dearest Jack, you know that you have always been like a son to me, and you know that I love you dearly. The love and care you have shown me throughout the years will never be forgotten. I hate to admit it, but even when it comes to my son Hugo, I feel as though the love we once shared is no longer there. Hugo and I just don't see eye to eye like we used to, and honestly, I think it's because of Jenny. Ever since he married that girl, he no longer has time for me. He doesn't love me, and therefore, I don't think I love him. I love you, Jack, and you are my son. With that being said, I want to let you know that I am going to update my will so that you inherit all of my belongings, and not Hugo. I know it might hurt him, but honestly, at this point, I don't care. It's that wretched Jenny girl, she's the one who has poisoned my love for him. I hope you received this letter well. The reason why I didn't want to approach you about it in person is that, and it pains me to admit this, I couldn't risk seeing the rejection on your face. I know you love Hugo like he's your brother, and most likely, you won't approve. But I don't care. I'm giving you everything, the money, the house, the cars, and even my small businesses. They're all yours, whether you like it or not. If you want to talk about this further, please call me, and we can discuss. The silence that followed was deafening. Hugo's face had gone pale, his jaw clenched tight. Jack looked equally stunned, and Kyle seemed as if he'd been slapped. Finally, Hugo spoke, his voice thick with disbelief. What the hell, Mom? I look forward to hearing your response. I will love you forever and always. Your second mom. As I finished reading the letter, I glanced up, taking in the whirlwind of emotions around me. Kyle looked like he was fighting back tears. Jack sat in stunned silence, but Hugo looked ready to explode. I can't believe she actually said all that. Is she serious? She'd rather cut me out of her will just to spite me and Jenny? She's lost her damn mind. I don't even know what to say. Jack muttered, this is too much. I'm sick of her toxicity. What are we supposed to do now? An idea formed in my mind. A week later, the long-awaited Hawaii trip arrived. Maria woke up to an empty bed and a letter from her husband on the nightstand. Good morning, beautiful. We let you catch up on your beauty sleep. Don't worry, your bags are packed. Just meet us at the airport. Excited, Maria got ready in a rush and made her way to the airport, scanning the crowds for her travel companions. She tried calling them, but no one picked up. Assuming they had already boarded, she checked in and took her seat, eagerly anticipating the vacation ahead. 12 hours later, the moment she landed, Maria video called Kyle. Hey, Kyle, where are you guys? I woke up late and saw your note, but no one answered my calls. I figured you all just boarded ahead of me. Let's get the party started. Kyle's face was unreadable. That won't be happening, Maria. Her smile faltered. What do you mean? Where are you? I'm at home. Confusion flickered across her features. What? Why are you at home? Kyle let out a slow sigh. You see, Jenny found something interesting last week, and after what we learned, we decided we'd rather spend time in Florida with her than go anywhere with you. Maria's breath caught. You think I wouldn't find out? My baby. Don't baby me, Kyle snapped. You were really going to cut me out of the will, Mom? Panic flashed in her eyes. I don't know what you're talking about. How did you even? Oh, That a wretched girl you hate so much? Jenny found your letter sitting right in the kitchen. Maria's voice wavered. I don't know what you're talking about. Jack's tone was firm. Maria, lying right now is only digging a deeper grave. Her gaze darted wildly between them. Jack, tell them. You believe me, don't you? I would never. Jack's expression was unreadable. We all read it, Maria. It's over. She shook her head, desperation creeping in. Jenny must have twisted my words. I did nothing wrong. Jenny scoffed. Oh, am I making things up? You're so pathetic it's actually sickening. We all know exactly what you wrote. Thank God I was nosy enough to read it. Maria turned to Hugo, her last hope. Hugo, please. His expression was ice. No, Maria. Enough. You've done enough. Your hatred has blinded you, and now you get to suffer the consequences alone. On your birthday. I hope this trip gives you plenty of time to reflect. But I'll be alone. She cried. It won't be fun. Kyle's voice was flat. Maybe people would want to be around you if you weren't such a raging witch. Enjoy. And with that, he hung up. Silence stretched across the dining table before. One by one, we all started laughing. First me, then Hugo, then Jack, until we were all in stitches. The sheer absurdity of the situation hitting us at once. The image of Maria's face, drained of color, utterly humiliated, was priceless. For the first time in a long time, she felt shame. Alone in paradise, Maria spent the trip desperately calling Kyle, begging him to come since canceling everything would be too expensive. Each time, he refused. When she returned, he made it clear if she wanted to stay in his life, new boundaries would be put in place. Hugo laid down his own terms. Disrespect me again, even once, and I'm done with you for good, just like you planned for me. Their relationship remained on thin ice. As for Jack, he finally realized that coddling Maria had only enabled her. From then on, he kept his distance. Maria had thought she could manipulate and control those around her forever. Instead, she found herself in a nightmare of her own making, alone, miserable, and at risk of losing the three most important people in her life. As for me, I sent her a message saying I needed time to decide if she even deserved my forgiveness. She begged me to talk some sense into Kyle, Jack, and Hugo. I refused. This is the bed you made, Maria. Now lie in it. To this day, she's still trying to pick up the shattered pieces of the relationships she broke. I just hope she finally learned her lesson.